Good afternoon. Today is October 15th, 2024. We have 21 days to our election. Welcome to Belloheart. My name is Jamie Bello. Today I want to show you a short clip of JD Vance schooling some of the ABC reporters trying to, catch Donald Trump's things he has said, that they take take the clips or whatever, and they ask him some questions. Now, JD Vance in the last 2 months has gotten a ton of respect from me and from all the Republicans, all the MAGA people, as far as I could tell. And this is just more proof of how the ABC, how the legacy media news tries to spin shit and put words in people's mouths and to spread lies and fear, really. Because the reality is America's hurting, and they don't care. All they care about is getting Kamala elected, and they'll just smear Trump's name in any way possible, and it means nothing. Today is also the last day to register to vote in New Jersey, so New Jersey people, please get out there and register to vote, especially Republicans. We got to put this man over the top, man. The country depends on it. Okay, back after this. All right, so like I said, today I want to talk about, I was going to show you a quick clip from ABC News from, I think it was Sunday, where JD Vance went on and schooled the reporter, and actually probably did more damage to Kamala Harris than they tried to do to Trump, because JD Vance is a master orator, master speaker, okay? And you guys should pay attention, okay? Especially if you're a Democrat.
Republican vice presidential nominee, Senator JD Vance. So happy to have you here this morning, Senator Vance. I know you've been going hard on the campaign trail, but I want to start with the hurricane. During Hurricane Helene, as we heard, former President Trump suggested the federal government was not only sending FEMA aid meant for the hurricane to migrants, but going out of their way to not help people in Republican areas. Do you think that is true?
Well, Martha, what the president said is that fundamentally FEMA aid is distracted by going to illegal migrants. And by the way, good morning, and thanks for having me. We've got Republican congressmen who are on the ground who represent that area saying that they have to call the White House to get food and water to FEMA. I don't frankly think there's anything malicious going on here, Martha, but I do think that we've had an incompetent response to this particular crisis, particularly in Western North Carolina, which, to be fair, was hit harder than a lot of us expected it. But fundamentally, if you've got 6 days after the hurricane, the 82nd Airborne is still trickling in, I do think that we had a fundamentally incompetent, overly bureaucratic response to the hurricane. So what you hear from folks on the ground is they feel left behind. And Martha, we have to remember, of course, I know this area well. This is the Appalachian region of our country where people have felt ignored by their government for 30 years, and it doesn't help when you have a response to the hurricane that's slow, that's halting, and then you layer on top of it,
Senator Vance
has done a lot.
Senator Vance, I want to go back to
resettlement work. Go ahead.
I want to go back to.
They're so dirty and disrespectful, aren't they? And yeah, and if you watch my videos last week about the hurricane, not only is the FEMA and the response by the government disgusting and should make all Americans sick, liberals, but the fact that there is, if you watch my video last week about weather manipulation and how they used the weather, they use this system called NOREX or not NORAD, it's NOR something, where we have these frequency emitting devices that can emit high enough frequencies throughout the country to steer weather patterns. Fact, look it up. I'll put the link below to my video about weather manipulation. And so you got that, the fact that there's the mines that I talked about, the lithium mine, the third largest in the world, and then the two super high-end quartz mines in that same area, right? So that's just another thing you throw on top of it all, and you throw the distrust that we have in our media, our government, and everything else, and then you wonder why people are questioning everything that goes on. So let's listen more.
What former President Trump said. He said they're going out of their way to not help people in Republican areas. There is no truth to that. And on
according to who? Your opinion? These people, man. there's no truth to it. Well, it seems like there's truth to it. I mean, the people are suffering, and there's nobody caring about the response. We got the friggin' military sitting on the sidelines for days and days and days. Now, by now, I'm sure it's gotten better, but in the beginning, it was not.
Staging, Pentagon officials say that active duty troops were staged and ready to go before being called upon and were instantly out the door. So President Trump, former President Trump, is saying things that aren't true about that money being withheld from Republican areas.
Well, Martha, I think you're actually confusing staging of resources from the rapid response of the U.S. military. I mean, look, in FEMA's defense, there are things after this hurricane that FEMA simply could not do. You actually need military command and control. You need military resources deployed to the area. And I think all the president has said is, frankly, what some of Kamala Harris's surrogates have said, which is that if these areas were a little bit more democratic, maybe Kamala Harris would have focused on them more. That acknowledgement is not to attack, frankly, the good folks of FEMA. It's to suggest that Americans are feeling left behind by their government, which they are, Martha.
Okay,
if you talk to folks on the ground.
Let's move on. You answered that too good. Americans feel left behind by their government. It's a fact, okay? And they don't give a shit. Our government. That's it. I feel left behind. My house is not destroyed. I'm just unemployed. And I've lost my job twice under Biden. So I feel left behind as well. It's bullshit.
I've had friends that have been in Boone, North Carolina, helping with the cleanup. It is an extraordinary sense of betrayal and being left behind. People are worried that their government doesn't care about them. I'm much more worried about the incompetence of Kamala Harris's administration that led to that more than
Senator
I am
Vance,
the fact that Donald
Senator
Trump
Vance, I'm just going to say that local
officials
and FEMA officials say that is just flat wrong.
Ooh, local officials and FEMA officials. Ooh, fuck cares what these officials say. They're all liars.
But I want to, we played some other comments about migrants, including in Aurora, in Colorado, where Trump said.
Pay attention. This is where he fucking absolutely schools the shit out of this lady. Just don't mess with JD.
The city had been invaded and conquered by Venezuelan gangs. The Republican mayor of the city said flatly the city and state have not been taken over or invaded or occupied by migrant gangs. So do you support Donald Trump making those claims that the Republican mayor says were grossly exaggerated and have hurt the city's identity and sense of safety? I understand what you're saying, that some people left behind, but he's making these statements that the mayor is flat out disputing.
Well, Martha, you just said the mayor said they were exaggerated.
Grossly exaggerated.
Means that there's got to be that means there's got to be some element of truth here. And of course, President Trump was actually in Aurora, Colorado, talking to people on the ground. And what we're hearing, of course, Martha, is that people are terrified by what has happened with some of these Venezuelan gangs.
Senator Vance, I'm going to stop you because I know exactly what happened.
Martha.
I'm going to stop you.
I'm going to stop you. Yeah, let's stop you. Let's hear this.
Incidents were limited to a handful of apartment complexes, and the mayor said our dedicated police officers have acted on those concerns. A handful of problems.
Only, Martha, do you hear yourself? Only a handful of apartment complexes in America were taken over by Venezuelan gangs, and Donald Trump is the problem and not Kamala Harris's open border? Americans are so fed up with what's going on, and they have every right to be. And I really find this exchange, Martha, sort of interesting because you seem to be more focused with nitpicking everything that Donald Trump has said rather than acknowledging that apartment complexes in the United States of America are being taken over by violent gangs. I worry so much more about that problem than anything else here. We've got to get American communities in a safe space again. And unfortunately, when you let people in by the millions, most of whom are unvetted, most of whom you don't know who they really are, you're going to have problems like this. Kamala Harris, 94 executive orders that undid Donald Trump's successful border policies. We knew this stuff would happen. They bragged about opening the border, and now we have the consequences, and we're living with it. We can do so much better, but frankly, we're not going to do better, Martha, unless Donald Trump calls this stuff out. I'm glad that he did.
Okay,
Uh-oh, Martha. Martha, you are wrong, as always. You see that? Only a handful. So now they're normalizing gangs taking over a It's only 5, a handful. 5 apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado. So they're admitting to it that it's happened, right? So all the people who said, "Oh, it's not happening," well, it happened, and it's happening, and they acknowledge that it's happening. But it was only 5, so it's not a big deal. I mean, are you guys fucking out of your minds? How does America get to a point to where it's okay for gangs to take over an apartment complex and no one to give a shit and to say, "Oh, it's no big deal. It's just 5." Well, it should be the #1 news story in America. Why isn't it? Because our government is slimy, our media is just as slimy, and they don't give a shit about people. All they care about is winning and beating Trump, because if they don't, their careers are over, and a lot of them might go to jail for swindling the American people. So bravo to JD Vance for schooling the legacy media news and hopefully turning more Democrats to Trumpers, because that's the only way to go, guys. We need to save America. So we got 21 days to the election. Last day to vote in New Jersey. No, register to vote in New Jersey is today. And we need to get it done. Okay? Let's go, baby. Have a good day.